In today's Final Touch, the 2024 Olympics in Paris may have 4 brand new sports.
And not traditional sports by any means. If the Paris Olympics organizers get their way, breakdancing will become an Olympic sport in 2024. 3 other sports, including surfing, skateboarding, and sport climbing, are also on the list. The committee says these sports would reflect the French capital's identity and help take the games out of the stadiums and into the streets. It's now up to the International Olympic Committee to vote on the inclusion of these so-called street sports. There you go, Charlotte.
Well, I was going to say.
You could be an Olympian now.
You've been practicing your breakdancing moves.
That's our time for now. News 3 at 5 starts right now.
Right now at 5, we're learning more about the fatal Beaver Dam explosion that took place last year. We will have the very latest. And some Rock County residents are worried about flooding after their storm drains were left covered in all that snow. Plus, Governor budget includes nearly $30 million for a range of women's health care issues. We have reaction from Planned Parenthood.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
And thanks for staying with us. News 3 Now is partnering with Energy Services, Inc. and the Keep Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund to raise funds for those who cannot afford to pay their heating bills this very chilly winter. Here is a live look at our Day of Warmth telethon. It's going on right now and just announced Ideal Builders will be matching up to $5,000 until the telethon ends at 6:30 tonight. That's another hour and a half, but give them a call right now. The number at the bottom of your screen there, area code 608-274-4000. First at 5, new details are emerging in that Beaver Dam apartment explosion from last year. Our Keely Arthur has the police documents, which gives some new insight into that event. Keely?
Well, it's almost a year since the explosion. Today, we are learning more about the man behind it all. Police say Benjamin Morrow was making explosives on March 5th, 2018, when he died after accidentally detonating the explosives he was making inside his apartment. Newly released documents revealed Morrow made references to the Parkland shooting. Telling workers and hinting that something similar could happen at Richie Lou Foods where he worked, telling a female employee, quote, "Don't worry, you'll be the first to get out." Other interviews reveal Morrow often smelled of mothballs, a scent closely linked to one of the dangerous chemicals he was working with. But police still don't know why Morrow was building the explosives or what he was planning to do with them.
We don't know why. Everything to this point is speculation and conjecture because we don't have a really good grasp on his motive at all.
Police describe Morrow as a quiet, introverted type person who was a man of faith. Co-workers and neighbors said he kept to himself. He was also seen playing shooting games on his computer from time to time. Now, following the March 5th explosion, authorities conducted an explosion of their own and a controlled burn of the complex. No one else was injured. Coming up on News 3 Now at 5, we will share how the community has moved forward since this dark time in their history. Eric?
Keely Arthur joining us. Keely, thank you. 2 armed men who went into a Madison apartment last night demanding drugs may have targeted the wrong apartment. Investigators say the 2 men entered through an unlocked door at an apartment in the 1100 block of Petra Place. This was just before 9 p.m. They asked where the cocaine was kept. Police say a 66-year-old woman had a handgun pointed at her head, while another resident, a 59-year-old man, had his wallet and cell phone taken. The victims told police they do not use or peddle drugs. The men are described as black, in their 30s. One had a pronounced goatee. A Madison man is indicted by a federal jury on 2 charges in connection with the case of a missing Tennessee girl who was found here in Wisconsin. 31-year-old Brian Rogers is accused of persuading that 14-year-old Tennessee girl to record a rape and then send the video to him. Court records say that after he saw the video, he didn't report it to police. Instead, he brought the girl to Wisconsin, taking steps to avoid being tracked. Last week, the defense argued Rogers only suggested the girl make a recording for evidence and did so after he suggested other ways for her to get out. The Rock County Sheriff's Office offering a cash reward for information on a November hit-and-run incident that killed a 21-year-old man. William Church of Evansville died November 17th after being hit by a car on County Road M that was near the town of Union. His family has asked for the community's help finding the person responsible. Anyone with information is encouraged to call the Rock County Sheriff's Office or the Janesville Area Crime Stoppers. Well, let's get a look at your first alert weather. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti joining us from the weather patio. Gary?
It's actually been a pretty nice day today, Eric. We had sunshine for much of the day, just some mid and high level clouds starting to come in from the west, and will turn cloudy later on tonight. But as we take a look at visible cloud track, you can still see the snow on the ground blanketing much of the upper Midwest. But you can see also some mid and high level clouds starting to stream in from the south and west. Doppler track, nothing really going on out there until you get into western Iowa. A few flurries of snow falling. That batch of snow will pass to our north, but it's the first part of a big winter storm that will affect us over the weekend with some mixed precipitation, rain, and then snow toward the end. As we look at Doppler track over southern Wisconsin, things pretty quiet here. This morning, low temperatures were generally in the lower to the middle teens. Here in Madison, we dropped to 13. High temperature today, a little bit below normal at 27. Most locations made the upper 20s, and current temperatures now are in the middle 20s. But as those clouds thicken up later on tonight, that'll keep us from getting too cold. Otherwise, by tomorrow morning, look for those temperatures to drop to around 10 degrees. We'll see partly sunny skies for the day tomorrow with a high of 34. But again, the potential is there for some wintry weather beginning late tomorrow night, off and on into Sunday. I'll have the details and weather in a few minutes.
Gary, thank you. Residents in Evansville say they are worried about flooding after their storm drains were left covered in snow. The city says it's trying to fix the issue, but it is a matter of limited resources there. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter spoke to someone who is worried today and joins us from our bureau at the Janesville Gazette with more. Adam?
Well, Eric, normally John Forrest says he wouldn't have an issue clearing out the inlet at the end of his street in Evansville, but he says the recent snow and ice have made it almost impossible for him to do so. Now he's worried about the warmer weather melting the snow, causing his street to flood. He says the street has been ignored by plows before and that because of a heart attack he had in the past, he shouldn't be out there shoveling to begin with.
Normally, because of my condition, I normally use a snow blower, but for that, there was no way. There was an inch of ice underneath, and there was 4 feet of snow on top, and it was too heavy for my snow blower. I would have ruined my snow blower, so I had to do it.
I spoke with the city of Evansville's municipal services director, who told me they're doing everything they can to get the roads plowed, but with so many streets and so few trucks, there still are gaps in what they can cover from time to time. And he said anyone who sees an issue is recommended to call them, and they will try their best to come out there and fix it. There's a number for them on our website, channel3000.com.
Boy, a lot of work still to be done out there. Adam Duxter at our bureau at the Janesville Gazette. Adam, thank you. All of the snow we've seen in the past month means your car is probably coated in salt and sand at this point, and that can lead to plenty of problems with your vehicle if you haven't stopped to get it washed recently. Auto experts say salt that remains on the surface and undercarriage for any length of time can damage your car's clear coat finish, also increase rust possibilities, and affect the actual mechanics of your vehicle.
I think it's critical in the state that we live in, with especially this year with the amount of salt that's put down on the road, because that salt just attacks those suspension and brake system components. And you know, if you can keep that system clean, keep the salt off of it, you know, it's going to save you money in the long run in repairs.
They also say you'll want to make sure you get the salt and sand out of any sort of crevices like door jams, wheel wells, and even with more snow and ice in the forecast, it is recommended you go ahead and wash your car every other week to keep all that salt off. Governor Tony Evers giving us some insight tonight into what he will include in his state budget proposal next Thursday. Rose Schmidt joins us to explain what his focus is, particularly when it comes to women's health care. Rose?
Well, Eric, Governor Evers is announcing his Healthy Women, Healthy Babies initiatives, which would expand a range of women's health services. But his focus on Planned Parenthood is being met with pushback from Republicans at the state legislature.
I believe every woman and every kid, no matter where they live, deserves access to comprehensive health care.
With an investment of nearly $28 million, Governor Evers is making women's health a top priority in his state budget.
We're going to start by expanding the Well Women program and bringing Planned Parenthood back into the fold as a trusted provider.
Under Evers' plan, Planned Parenthood would be eligible again for state and federal funding stripped away by Governor Walker. The organization says it lost $1 million, forcing 5 rural clinics to close.
And what we've seen since then is no one else has really stepped up to provide that care in those communities. Patients there are forced to either travel farther or simply go without critical preventative care.
But Republican leaders won't consider any plan that involves more money for the state's largest abortion provider.
Republicans are not going to put one more nickel into Planned Parenthood than we do right now. We have done everything we can to try to make sure that we protect human life.
Planned Parenthood officials say the money would go toward a range of other services, like preventative treatments and cancer screenings.
None of these funds would go to abortion care, and while that's an important part of what Planned Parenthood does, it's a very small part of the services we provide.
Evers' administration is also aiming to address racial disparities in health care, something Tia Murray and Michaela Berry are happy to see.
We know that stress from racism, from economic instability, contributes to our health in general, but also contributes to the health of a baby.
In a state that has the highest infant mortality rate for Black children, they run a network of more than a dozen doulas, aiming to increase health outcomes.
We've seen a lot of trauma. We've seen things happen in the medical setting that shouldn't happen based on the way that a woman looks.
That's why they're glad to see Evers fueling money into programs to decrease infant mortality rates and increase doula training programs.
With the governor bringing attention to this, he's noticing that this is important, that this is not just happening in Dane County.
Evers' plan would also boost postpartum coverage for mothers insured by Medicaid. Currently, Medicaid covers pregnant women for 60 days after giving birth, but Evers wants to increase that for up to a year. So there's quite a lot in this proposal.
Rose Schmidt reporting at Rose. Thank you. Assembly Republicans are proposing $3.7 million to combat homelessness in Wisconsin. Republicans unveiled plans earlier today. The new GOP bills include spending $500,000 on a prevention program and creating a new $300,000 program to direct the homeless into stable housing. Republicans also want to spend another $500,000 to bolster grants for shelters and add $900,000 annually to a housing assistance program. Other measures are designed to help families find work, permanent housing, and also renovate apartments into affordable housing.
So if our goal truly is to end homelessness in Wisconsin, we have to do everything that we can to keep families housed so that our time and resources can be utilized for those sleeping in emergency shelters and living on the streets.
Some Democrats complained they weren't contacted to work with Republicans on the measures. Republicans hold majorities, of course, in the state Senate and Assembly. Bills fighting homelessness passed last session with bipartisan support. More to come on News 3 Now at 5. Up next, a Coast Guard lieutenant accused of plotting to kill members of Congress faces a judge for the first time. What prosecutors are saying about that threat. Empire actor Jussie Smollett out of jail after posting bond. What the Chicago PD is saying about the accusations against him. And red numbers on Wall Street. The Dow tumbles almost 104 points. The Nasdaq off 29. The S&P lost 10. We'll be right back. Welcome back. A federal judge has ruled that a Coast Guard lieutenant who is accused of planning attacks on prominent Democrats and other civilians be held for 14 days pending more charges. Court documents say Coast Guard Lieutenant Christopher Hassan, who is self-described as a white nationalist, wanted to murder innocent civilians on a scale rarely seen. Federal agents found 15 firearms, more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition, bottles labeled human growth hormone as well in his Maryland apartment.
The sheer number and force of the weapons that were recovered from Mr. Hassan's residence in this case, coupled with the disturbing nature of his writings, appear to reflect a very significant threat.
Prosecutors say Hassan had a hit list of prominent Democrats, including House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, and several presidential candidates. Also, TV news personalities CNN's Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo, MSNBC's Joe Scarborough, and Chris Hayes were also on that hit list. Chicago police are accusing actor Jussie Smollett of orchestrating a publicity stunt that scarred the city and its reputation. The Empire actor walked out of a Chicago jail swarmed by photographers after being released on felony charges. He appeared in court where the judge set bond at $100,000. Earlier today, Chicago's police superintendent shared his personal outrage at evidence that suggests Smollett staged a fake hate crime in a city already troubled by racial tension.
Empire actor Jussie Smollett took advantage of the pain and anger of racism to promote his career. I'm left hanging my head and asking why. Why would anyone, especially an African-American man, use the symbolism of a noose to make false accusations?
Smollett turned himself in and was arrested overnight, accused of filing a false police report, was charged with felony disorderly conduct. Police say he hired 2 men to beat him, splash him with bleach, and put a rope around his neck, and they identified a possible motive because Smollett was dissatisfied with his current salary. Roger Stone arrived at a federal courthouse in Washington, summoned there by Judge Amy Berman Jackson. Stone took the witness stand and took responsibility for an Instagram post showing the judge with crosshairs near her head. He called it an egregious and stupid error. Judge Jackson is presiding over his case on charges of witness tampering, obstruction, and lying to federal investigators, and has issued a limited gag order while he awaits trial. Stone was indicted as part of Robert Mueller's probe of Russian interference in the 2016 election. Sources tell CBS News Mueller could submit his report to the Department of Justice as soon as tomorrow, certainly though by mid-March, but the public may not see that report. All right, with possible messy weather coming our way in another day or so, we might get a break tomorrow, though. Here's Gary with the latest.
Well, we had a break today, Eric, and tomorrow should be just as nice. In fact, maybe even a couple degrees milder. On Doppler track, nothing happening across southern Wisconsin. A few flurries starting to show up in western Iowa, but these are heading off toward the north and east, so they'll stay to our north for tonight. Just see an increase in clouds, but already the stage is set for a winter storm for the weekend. Now, a winter storm watch has been issued from Saturday evening, 6 p.m. Saturday evening until 6 p.m. Sunday evening from southwest to northeast through Iowa into southeastern Minnesota and up into the Eau Claire area. That area might see the potential for up to a foot of snow, at least as far as expected snowfall is through that area. There could be as much as a foot of snow up in parts of far northwestern Wisconsin and southeastern Minnesota. But as we take a look at the GFS future track model for as far as ice is concerned, this is from Friday night into Saturday morning, about 1/10 to maybe 1/4 of an inch of freezing rain and sleet potential. The European computer model definitely pointing out that 1/4 inch range. Yesterday it was 1/4 to 1/2 inch from Madison out toward the north and east. So definitely this band right through south central Wisconsin, there may be a period of sleet and freezing rain from late Friday night into Saturday morning that could make the roads very icy before temperatures get up above freezing and precipitation changes to rain during the day on Saturday. So because of that, we have alert days in the forecast from late Friday night into Saturday morning for that light snow, sleet, and freezing rain, and maybe up to 1/4 of an inch of ice accumulation in some areas. And then on Sunday, mainly from late Saturday night into Sunday morning for snow that could accumulate as much as 1 to 5 inches. Heaviest amounts will be out toward the Mississippi River, and then lesser accumulations, maybe about 1 inch to as much as 3 inches in and around Dane County, lesser amounts to the south south and to the east. Live view from the Platteville Quimby Radio Skycam. We've got some hazy sunshine there. The clouds starting to thicken up a little bit. The WISC Skycam looking off toward the east shows partly cloudy skies. The Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison looking out toward the west. You can see the sun peeking through the clouds there. As we check out our almanac for today, high temperature 27 degrees, so a little bit below the average high of 33. Low temperature of 13, about the same distance below the average low. Right now we're 25 with partly sunny skies. The air is calm, so really not much of a wind chill to speak of this hour. But on weather track, you can see the next storm system developing out to the south and west. Notice rain to the south and snow to the north. So if you just kind of extrapolate that toward the north and east, that rain-snow line is going to be very close to Madison. We could see a variety of wintry weather types once that precipitation reaches us. But right now, high pressure is in control of our weather, so that will keep our weather quiet for tonight and keep that snow chance to our north and west. Temperatures right now generally in the 20s and teens, but notice farther to the south on the other side of that warm front, lower 50s across southern portions of Kansas. And as the storm system comes together, the main part of the storm will kind of reform and then head northeast just to our west. So it'll put us on the mild side of the storm as that mixed precipitation changes to rain on Saturday, and then the wintry part of the storm sweeps through as we change back to snow late Saturday night into Sunday morning. Our forecast calls for temperatures to drop to a low of about 10 by early tomorrow morning as skies turn mostly cloudy overnight. For tomorrow, look for a partly sunny and pleasant day with a high temperature of 34. On future track, quiet for tonight, an increase in clouds overnight. Low temperatures dropping to around 10. But we're back to partly sunny skies for tomorrow with highs in the mid-30s. Tomorrow night, the clouds come in. Here comes that mixed precipitation, some light snow, sleet, and freezing rain. But notice a change over to rain on Saturday as temperatures climb into the mid to upper 30s. Again, ice accumulations, a tenth to a quarter of an inch. And as far as snow is concerned, 2 to 5 inches north and west of Madison, maybe 1 to 3 inches across the rest of the area, and that'll be on Sunday. After that, the 10-day forecast calls for colder weather for next week. Some light snow chances Tuesday and Wednesday with some minor accumulations, even colder for the end of next week. As we take a look at first alert traffic right now, things are a little slow on the Beltline, especially as you head from basically from Verona Road toward the east. We're seeing slowdowns. This is the view at John Nolan Drive and the Beltline, and slow traffic in both directions. Right now we're seeing delays from Verona Road to at least as far east as East Broadway, maybe as far as Monona Drive. Travel times right now 26 minutes from University Avenue to the interstate in the eastbound direction. Westbound direction, 20 minutes from the interstate back to University Avenue. If you're heading out of Madison, it's 26 minutes down to Janesville on I-3990, 18 minutes to Sauk City on US 12, and 17 minutes to Sun Prairie on East Washington Avenue, US 151. That's your first alert traffic.
Gary, thank you. Ahead at 5, News 3 Now is partnering with Energy Services, Inc. until 6:30 for our Day of Warmth telethon. We'll tell you how you can help those in need after a short break. Welcome back. News 3 Now is partnering with Energy Services, Inc. and the Keep Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund to raise funds for those who can't afford to pay their heating bills this winter. We'll be taking your calls. The phone lines are open, 608-274-4000. And joining us right now is Tim Brewer. He's Executive Director of Energy Services, Inc., as well as Angela Wallace. She's here as well. She's the chair of Ideal Builders Community Impact Committee. And Angela, you got a big announcement to make. You guys are really making a great effort today.
I do. We plan on issuing a $5,000 challenge for the next hour that the telethon is on from 5:30 to 6:30. So call in.
That's right. 274-4000 is the number to call, and you guys will match it. Thank you so much for making it. Why is it important for you guys to do that? You'd love to be a part of the community.
It's the local community. It's impact right here, and that's what we like to do is impact community around us that we can see and touch and feel.
And they had a little match going, Tim, right, with Veridian. They were both contributing.
Oh, it was incredible. I think Veridian Homes, which is one of the largest home construction companies in Wisconsin, not only concerned about getting people in their homes, but keeping them in their homes, followed up by Ideal Builders, and that incredible matching challenge just speaks well of the older piece of Americana. I mean, people, your viewers, really have the ability to make the difference whether or not somebody stays safely in their home. We're talking about older people, we're talking folks with disabilities, especially struggling veterans, young working families, who never ask for anything but often find themselves literally choosing between eating or heating or facing the bitter cold alone. Your viewers literally have the opportunity to make a difference whether or not somebody stays safe in their homes, not in a crisis shelter, and not facing a life-threatening situation. So the success today and the kind of incredible response by Wisconsinites are almost unprecedented. And now with the secondary challenge from Ideal Builders, wow, I mean, it doesn't get better than that. That just goes to show in this day and age that old piece of Americana still makes a difference. People helping neighbors, family, friends, small businesses all coming together to provide a survival safety net for those who are really in need.
It is fantastic to work with both of you guys on this. Ideal, Veridian, everybody here, all of our volunteers as well. Give them a call. We'll be taking those calls until 6:30 this evening. The donations in the phone bank. The number to call again, 608-274-4000. We also want to remind you, you can donate all day online. There's the kwwf.org website. That's the one to hit to make a donation and make a difference. Another check of your forecast in just a moment. All right, a final check from Gary.
Yeah, quiet for tomorrow, but late tomorrow night into Saturday, the possibility for some freezing rain and sleet with a 1/10 to maybe a 1/4 of an inch of ice accumulation. Then from late Saturday night into Sunday, some snow, especially farther to the north and west, where winter storm watches have been issued up toward the La Crosse area. And then after that, cold for much of next week with some light snow chances in the middle of the week.
Well, more updates in 30 minutes. The CBS Evening News is next.